it!
What is
you
that?
Got it! You
what
got
is
it!
that?
You got
what is
it!
that? What is that? 720K! Let's go, baby! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
37 bit, let's go! Let's go! That's it, the max win! It isn't about that! Go!
The people that will lose are the viewers.
Companies were coming to me. We want you to stream on our website, gamble, and we are willing to pay you $35,000 an hour.
How many people do you think would turn down $1 million a month?
They tune in, they see him winning like $5 grand in one pull or whatever, however that works. And then they think like, oh, I'll do it too.
If you're getting an offer from a casino sponsorship, you're already a multi-millionaire. You need to be a multi-millionaire?
Like, I'm not convinced that it's rigged, but I'm sure as hell not convinced it isn't.
Just to let you know, at the point of me finishing the editing for this video, Twitch came out with this statement basically saying that they're banning the use of referral codes and links to gambling sites from their streams. This, however, in my opinion, is not really enough. Streamers are still allowed to play slots, roulette and dice games on stream, but this means that the incentive, although slightly diminished, is still there if these creators are still allowed to stream gambling at all, as sponsored streams are still a possibility even without the use of codes. So all of my concerns in this video are still very valid, but it seems that Twitch are keeping their options open with regards to their approach, so maybe we'll see further crackdowns in the future. Gambling streams. They've been all over Twitch recently, and I wanted to know what the hell was going on and how the hell can they afford to pay streamers like Trainwreck's TV and Aiden Ross over $1 million a month. Well, yes, because they're casinos, but there's more to it than that. Just to fully disclose my stance here, I'm not a gambler and I never have been, but that's not to say I've not enjoyed watching people gamble though, and I used to be obsessed with Deal or No Deal as a kid, but this is how the show would have gone if I were the banker.
That's for certain. Hello.
Alright, blouse wanker, pass me on to the woman. Alright, hear me out. You are gonna take this deal, you fucking idiot. You do realise that there's a 50% chance of you going home with 1p, right? Don't listen to Noel. Do you really think he has your best interest at heart? He brought Mr. Blobby into the world. Do you remember the childhood trauma, Tracy? Do you remember? And now he just prances around on Channel 4 telling people choosing completely random boxes that their choices are somehow spiritual and dictated by some higher deity. He says he can feel the energy in your box, for fuck's sake. I'm imagining every non-Brit watching this right now with a shocked Pikachu face. For anybody out of the loop with these gambling streams, Twitch streamers such as Rushdeen, Mizkif, Aiden Ross, Phase Banks, Mo, XQC, Trainwrecks and Ricegum have recently been taking up these deals to stream themselves gambling, sometimes with real money, sometimes with money from the casino, sometimes for up to 24 hours per session. So the main two sites which these streamers seem to be using are called Roobet and Stake Casino, which are online-only crypto casinos, which means anyone with a crypto wallet who claims to be over 18 can sign up. There's even a dedicated category on Twitch just for people playing slots, and many of the streamers in this category have their own promo codes. Now, just to make this very clear, I'm not accusing anyone in this video of doing anything illegal. I'm just questioning the morality behind it all and criticizing the way that the entire system behind it is set up to allow people, and especially children, to be exploited. The biggest slot player on the site is Trainwreck's TV, who consistently clocks around 30 to 40,000 viewers consistently on his streams. This is also a man who blew up on Twitch by performing a misogynistic rant because more female streamers had come onto the platform and were stealing his viewers.
These motherfuckers, these fake fucks, these girls that rejected us, these girls that come back into our streaming community. From now on, we will not give you money. pussy's pussy. Don't put it on a pedestal. Put it where it belongs. On the fucking couch and on the fucking ground.
Lovely. To be honest though, if you take the gambling element out of his streams, it's pretty fucking hilarious to watch because he somehow looks like that coked up, roided dude bro at the gym and a mod for an incel forum at the same time. And he's playing games that look like the ones that your mum plays on the iPhone 7 that you handed down to her.
Fine, guys, can you Twitch Prime sub to make up for that, please? It'd be very kind of you. Don't worry. Doghouse, take it all, please. I'm smiling right now.
Is Twain angry at the doggy woggies?
Is he fantastic? Oh, it's okay, Doghouse.
Chihuahua with the pillow.
In July, Ethan from H3H3 and Hassan Piker debated streamers XQC and Trainwrecks on the morality of these, as they call them, gamba-streams. Well, it was called a debate.
What keeps you motivated and what keeps you going is because
You would get banned if you did the same thing with water. If you were to conduct in a way that would self-harm you or kill you with water, you'd get banned just as much as if it was with alcohol. The end game, possible, worst outcome is irrelevant.
What?
It's irrelevant.
Water is not an addictive substance.
Here, he defends being paid $1 million per month by State Casino, which essentially comes from the gambling losses of his followers.
But I'll tell you, $1 million a month.
Plus $250,000 every 3 months from people who use his code on Stake.
And how much are you making on your code, by the way?
Dirt cheap. In 3 months, I made $250K.
Okay.
In 3 months.
Okay.
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
By basically saying it's okay because whilst streaming, sometimes for 24 hours straight with his code on the screen, it's apparently fine because he puts 18 plus in the titles of his streams, which, as we know, is a steadfast way of keeping kids away from your stream. It's literally impossible.
But I don't push the code at all.
It's on your screen the whole time, right?
It is on my screen, but I tell people not to gamble at all.
So by promoting gambling, he's actually promoting anti-gambling. He also argues that he's putting people off gambling because he loses so much money and reckons that the only people using his code are degenerates like him who are already addicted to gambling.
That's great.
The people who gamble already are the ones that will be converted. Do you understand?
Which, in my opinion, does not make his stance any better. Encouraging people who are already problem gamblers to gamble more can actually be deadly. Gambling is perceived by many as a simple failure of will, but becoming a problem gambler actually changes the way that your brain is wired. It's a brain disorder, and this brain disorder is preyed on by the gambling industry. And when Train says that his on-stream losses are preventing people from gambling, this isn't the case with problem gamblers. It's not the way that their minds work.
Winning and waiting to see if you've won, the anticipation, they're both pretty much the same. And that's a really key point about gambling. It's not just the winning that counts, it's the taking part. And the taking part repeatedly when you don't win is as activating to a gambler as the winning.
This is how being in the red makes it so addictive. It's the chasing of your losses under the false belief that your losses will eventually balance themselves out, a phenomenon called the gambler's fallacy.
We need 3 more. 3 more light up coins, please, to get us to that level. Don't be a bitch.
Not this spin, but next spin. Watch. I'm calling it. Next spin. It's gonna be 2 coins.
This is what makes it more like a drug addiction than an obsessive compulsive disorder. It's about looking for that next hit and not stopping until you get it, even if it's costing you a lot of money. Some games will even artificially increase the number of near misses because to a problem gambler's brain, that's basically the same as a win. Even though it doesn't mean anything at all because the numbers are completely random, witnessing a near miss will falsely tell the player's brain that a win is now more likely to come.
Give us the buffalo with the multis, please. Oh, fuck, that could have been so big. Give us any animal with multis all the way across.
This is a psychological phenomenon called the illusion of control. Some casinos program video slots to show near misses often on non-playing lines to exploit this psychology. But this feature is so damaging to some problem gamblers that in some places it's become illegal to program your game to do this. But it still remains legal in most jurisdictions. Slots is the perfect game for playing with a problem gambler's brain. It completely relies on chance, the computer's pseudo-random number generator, and shows your near misses very clearly. It's a perfect storm to keep a problem gambler playing. It's the crack cocaine of the casino world. Features like this take people to the brink, and often over the brink, of suicide. The death rate from gambling addiction is much higher than substance addiction because it's not a vice that you can easily move past. Even if you manage to kick the habit, the financial burden can follow you for the rest of your life. So the copious amounts of money that these streamers are being paid is coming out of the pockets of their viewers' losses, some of whom will eventually, sadly, gamble themselves to death. So why are there not extremely heavy regulations on it? Well, it brings in a lot of money which the CEOs of casinos can lobby politicians with, such as casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, who donated to both the Trump and Biden campaigns but staunchly supported Trump in the GOP, and made so many large donations that he was dubbed the Kingmaker. And here in the UK, MPs have received thousands in gifts from bookmakers by defending betting machines in Parliament.
It is a myth to suggest that problem gambling is entirely the result of fixed odds betting terminals. There is a problem with problem gambling. There are a small number of people who do suffer from addiction, and of course they need some protection.
And these ads, of course, make online gambling look exceptionally glamorous and lucrative. Ooh, look, on this one you can see the other people you're playing with. Look, you'll definitely get paired with a sexy bikini lady on a beach, and definitely not some dude with his penis out. No! Sexy bikini lady! Huge gambling conglomerates don't really have any interest in tackling the gambling addiction problem, because problem gamblers are the bread and butter of the gambling industry. Etain, the company that owns all of these betting companies, takes 38% of deposit money from just 1% of its customers. Oh, but they're not problem gamblers. No, they're VIPs. Companies do not disclose what constitutes a VIP, but some firms are known to have a net loss threshold above which VIP status is conferred. Just doing a quick search on Indeed for gambling VIP manager jobs, we have job descriptions which are described as follows. Grow the casino VIP members by identifying and developing new VIP customers through networking, relationship building, and customer referrals. Actively reduce the rate of VIP attrition through knowing your customers and spotting signs they are at risk of lapsing, implementing strategies to retain them. But contrary to this, you are also supposed to encourage and support greater awareness and vigilance from the team in spotting and dealing with suspicious transactions and problem gambling. Good luck with that, whoever fills that role. And looking at the employment reviews from people who have worked at casinos, the complaints vary, but one complaint seems to be consistent across the board: low pay. Because clearly these casinos cannot afford to pay a proper living wage. As a VIP customer of 888 Casino, you can get your very own private blackjack table livestream with a private dealer who definitely does not appear overworked and underpaid. Okay, I didn't realize this whilst recording, but there's this whole conspiracy theory on TikTok that these girls and some of the boys are actually being trafficked because so many of them appear tired. Honestly though, in my opinion, that's just TikTok for you. I think it's probably just because they're doing all-night shifts and don't get given enough breaks and can't drink coffee on camera, but let me know if you think any different.
What the fuck? Halt doch mal. Die hat einen Anfall, Digga. Yardım edin lan ona. What the fuck? Das ist der Teufel. Ha siktir, yardım edin amına koyayım. What the fuck? Ich kann das gar nicht angucken, Alter. Die hat einen Anfall, Digga. Die ist fertig.
This When the Fun Stops Stop campaign was completely funded by the gambling industry itself and has been found to be, surprise, surprise, completely ineffective.
Surprise, surprise. The unexpected hits
Because guess what? When the fun stops, you're addicted. You can't stop. And this is exactly the same as Train saying, "Don't gamble, idiots," on stream every time he wins, and in the titles of his streams, it clearly doesn't work. Why else would they be paying him over $1 million a month? One thing that I can defend Train on, though, is the fact that he doesn't seem to have a very young audience. And although that doesn't stop kids from finding their way in, at least he's not actively marketing himself towards them. To entertain children, you need to be shouting "bro" and "oh my god guys" at the camera every 2 seconds. But Train sits there in his empty plain white penthouse apartment, silently clicking replay on various slots most of the time. It's really riveting stuff.
How their nickname was moved into what looks to be an empty apartment. Listen here, bitch. I don't see what the fuck's empty about this. I have my counter. I have my kitchen appliances. I have my fucking $10,000 couch. I have my $10,000 TV. Maybe if, you had a fucking brain.
But that's where we come to Aiden Ross, another of Twitch's largest streamers. His audience are the types of people who find it funny when he pretends to be gay when he's not. Because being gay is funny, guys. That's the joke. Aiden's audience is young. And being 20 years old, Aiden is not even old enough to gamble himself in the USA, where he lives. Online casino Rubet decided to contact Aiden to offer him a sponsorship to gamble on stream. Rubet offered him $1.6 million a month. Much more than what Train is getting for a streamer with a younger audience. What did Aiden say to Rubet's proposal? "I need dick." From what I know, Rubet kept dick out of the deal and went ahead with the $1.6 million per month deal. But because he's only 20 years old and Rubet isn't technically legal in the States, they plopped him on a private jet to Mexico with all of his lovely friends, aka all of the worst people on the internet.
This plane was 78 G's.
8-bedroom villa, luxury villa.
What? Bro, what? Yo,
This is sick as fuck.
These are all our pools. Fucking jacuzzi, bro. Summer, you want to do a hot tub stream, you do it right there. Wow.
I'm gonna take a booty pic right there, up there.
Take one right there. These girls do their squats. Did you do squats this morning?
Yeah.
And I got paid $100,000 to do this. It's the Rubet logo. The whole reason we're in fucking Cabo. This is the good shots, bro. This is not. Can you guys believe I'm doing this right now?
I don't know about you, but I can't imagine anyone over the age of 21 enjoying this content. But I guess Rubet don't really seem to care. Back to the debate.
Never back to the
Train reduces to calling Ethan a virtue signaler.
It is unfair, it is fucking bad faith, and you are virtue signaling.
By the way, if you ever accuse someone of virtue signaling, you've lost the argument. Stop. So the stream eventually got to a point where the H3 crew looked up Stakes HQ on Google Maps and found that it was in what they called a hut or a shack, and hilarity ensues.
This is their headquarters.
Holy fuck.
Holy fuck.
This is a shed in the fucking ass woods of some-
Now what the fuck is the story behind the hut? You're about to learn a lot about a country that you've probably never heard of before. To open a casino, you need to obtain a license to be able to legally operate in the country that you want to trade in. This license basically reassures the government that your casino is fair and not rigged in any way via various checks and balances. When you Google how to get a gaming license for your brand new startup casino, you are digitally slapped in the face by Curacao. Welcome to Curacao, a small island only 40 miles long just off the Venezuelan coast, and recently an autonomous island after it broke free from Dutch colonial rule in 2010. Here you can enjoy culture, cuisine, music, dancing, sandy beaches, or open your very own crypto casino. Curacao is the #1 choice for quick, easy and cheap gaming licenses for your casino for a monthly fee of only around $3,000 per month and 0% VAT and 0% tax. Happy days! Woo! A Curacao license only requires that you have your company based in Curacao and to have your casino servers based there too. It doesn't matter if your company's HQ is literally a shed. This is what we call a brass plate operation. But there are many countries around the world that don't accept Curacao licenses, including the USA, the UK, France, Curaçao's former colonial daddy, the Netherlands, and Curacao itself. Yep, licensing bodies in Curacao are handing out gaming licenses that its own government does not want anything to do with. So good news, residents of Curacao, of which I'm sure there are many watching. If you want to play an online casino based in your own country under a license granted by an official body based in your own country, you can do that by traveling to Canada. You cannot get a casino gambling license straight from the Curacao Ministry of Justice, which is their official governing body, but some time ago they issued 4 master licenses to 4 separate organizations who in turn issue sub-licenses to individual casinos. In fact, the government has shed all responsibility and does not participate in monitoring or protecting the rights of players. This gives room to scammers who cheat players scot-free. Unfortunately, as is all too often the case, players experiencing problems with a casino licensed in Curacao have little chance of ever getting help from regulators. So this is why many countries don't accept them. What's more, there is actually nothing in Curacao law which actually stipulates that holders of a master license can legally issue sub-licenses to other companies, and there are even documents showing the Curacao government actually refusing to offer sub-licenses to a new master license applicant, with them stating that it would be too difficult for the master license holder to be responsible for so many sub-licenses. Yet there are hundreds of online casinos operating under these sub-licenses anyway, including Lilibet.com. What? That bitch Meghan Markle is at it again! Now she's commodifying her own daughter! Dragging Her Majesty's sacred name through the mud! Both Steak and Rubet appear to have the exact same company address, The Hut, with Rubet being run by a company called Raw Entertainment BV and Steak by a company called Medium Rare NV. I couldn't find anything about both of these companies apart from the fact that they're both registered in Cyprus. Something tells me that this is all set up kind of like this on purpose to hide whoever's behind these operations. Steak and Rubet are both using sub-licenses issued by Antilophone NV, one of the 4 official Curacao bodies. If you have a complaint to make about a casino licensed by Antilophone NV, and you might find that you need to make a complaint if you suddenly realize that your account has been blocked because you tried to withdraw winnings, but they discovered that you were using a VPN when you were playing. Rushdeen happily advertises that the casinos they're working with is VPN friendly. I'm sure Steak would be able to tell Rushdeen to remove this VPN friendly phrase from this ad on his Twitch profile if they really wanted to, quite easily. Just tell him to remove it, because it's against their T's and C's to misrepresent the location you're playing from in any way, but they don't seem to have done so. Now, these licenses do some regulations, such as if the casino is found to be using fake software, i.e. it's rigged, then the master license holding body may ask them to remove the game, but they won't require the casino to pay back any losses to customers who may have played the game up until that point. And to be fair to Antilophone NV, they do apparently carry out background checks on the casinos that they sub-license, and they are apparently more responsive to complaints than other Curacao master license holders. but they're very elusive and there's barely any information about them online, and finding out how to contact them is a bit of a mission in itself. The reputation of Curacao licenses in general is very poor in the casino industry, and they are allegedly very lax because they're very cheap, which means they probably don't have enough resources to properly supervise every sub-license that they issue. Basically, it sounds to me like it's a sort of diploma mill of gaming licenses. And holding a Curacao gaming license allows you to easily open a bank account with certain banks who will allegedly quite happily trust that all of the money coming into the account are proceeds from your casino. Think Breaking Bad car wash. Unfortunately, the island of Curacao has been rife with political and financial corruption since its independence from the Netherlands government in 2010. It turned out that the first prime minister that was elected for their newly autonomous government was taking bribes from a notorious mafia boss, as alleged by the Italian police, who owns several casinos and is called the King of Slots. And this guy had so much power over the PM, he attempted to choose his cabinet ministers for him, including a particular banker that he liked, but the operation was uncovered and it was found that the PM was also laundering money himself and was arrested and sent to jail for 3 years, with Curacao also sentenced to 18 months. On the 3rd of May 2013, a story appeared in the Curacao Chronicle website about a politician, Helmin Veals, claiming in an interview that he had sufficient documents to prove that a government-funded telecom provider had been involved with the unlicensed illegal sales of lottery tickets to minors on the island, and that the profits were being funneled into an offshore bank to avoid taxes. 2 days later, Veals was enjoying a beer on the beach with his friends and had let his security guard go home for the day. Shortly after, 2 men approached him and shot him 5 times in broad daylight in front of families and children, killing him instantly. Veals was very popular and had won the 2012 elections by a landslide. His only enemies were the few people getting rich through Curacao's systems that he spoke out against. His powerful opponents were offshore online gaming accountants, corporate services providers, tax experts, bankers, anonymous tax-exempted criminal shell company holders, plus the governments of the Netherlands, Curacao, Aruba, and St. Martin. Together, they'd created the world's largest illegal and unregulated criminal financial offshore online gambling empire ever, under the radar since 1993. The gunman was later found out to be a man from a local drug gang who was paid 23,000 euros to carry out the hit. The man who paid him eventually got convicted and sentenced to 25 years in 2017. However, there are many rumours about other suspects involved in the hit who have ties to the Curacao government and gambling industry. In March this year, Curacao's former Minister of Finance, who was in office at the time of the first PM, was sentenced to 30 years for fraud and provoking the murder of Veals. His half-brother was the owner of the lottery that Helmin Veals exposed. 2 other people involved in Veals' murder have also mysteriously died, one of them Epstein style. Here on the Mooncat channel, you can always trust any video topic to unravel a dark and disturbing world of deep political corruption and or murder. Subscribe now for more! In the years since, Curacao's issue with the legality of their sub-licenses, of which hundreds are being used around the world, has been neglected. The licenses remain separate from Curacao's current government, who do not deal with any customer complaints. So, in conclusion, not only are these streamers potentially triggering gambling addicts to gamble themselves to death, but their corporate daddies that they're staunchly defending are funneling money, knowingly or unknowingly, into a very secretive network of gambling interests linked to money laundering, political corruption, and the drug trade. And we're talking billions and billions of dollars. Curaçao's government-appointed gaming control board, however, is currently the licensor for all bricks-and-mortar casinos and are starting to take on online casinos now too, as they sort of slowly catch up with the modernized industry. Perhaps this could be the end for these 4 master license holders who operate independently of the government. Curaçao's money laundering and its ties to the drug trade are currently being investigated by the United States Department of State for risk assessment, with results expected in 2021. So I suppose a lot of the time nothing comes out of these things, but it will be interesting to wait and see what happens. Perhaps one day on Train Stream we'll see the bailiffs turn up.
Alright, Train, we're here!
Green and blue, get me in, bitch. Slow down right now and hit the green and blue. You fucking owe me 1 good bonus. It's been 2 months. Green and blue, slow down, get me in.
Dude! Where's all your stuff?
But when this is marketed towards children, it's especially dangerous. And it clearly works. Kids are impressed by money. They want easy ways to make money all the time. That's why you see these kids creators like Jake Paul and the Ace family start up these incredibly expensive courses claiming that they can teach these kids how to get so rich and live in a mansion just like they're heroes. If you just follow what I say and pay me $50 a month, this can be you as well. These kids these days, they get famous playing competitive esports, and the next day they're moving into a mansion that they have no bloody clue what to do with. Real estate has not yet evolved to realise the amount of spotty teenage gamers that are now becoming millionaires. These mansions are still being built for 50-year-old men who garden and play golf and collect wine.
You want to show them the house?
Let's go inside.
Let's do it.
Got this beautiful 160 bottle wine display. However,
none of us drink wine.
Not much to talk about. It's a kitchen. There's not much to talk about in the kitchen.
This was actually played on by Frank Sinatra himself and many other famous musicians. Thankfully, the owners left this piano here for us to enjoy. This is the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. We got our own snack bar, boys.
Yo, what up, Moon Clan? It's your girl Face Moon here. I just moved into this sick new pad in Central LA, guys. This is my sports car collection. I don't actually have a driving license yet. I haven't really needed one because me mum just brings me tendies while I scream at other 14-year-olds on Valorant for like 20 hours a day. But like, I got this sick all-white piano here. I don't really know how to play piano, but why don't I teach myself right now? Hey Siri, download sheet music for In My Stussies by Lil Yachty. I don't break a sweat over pussy. Lit up in this bitch, can nobody overlook me. My bitch so bad and her pussy talk with me. Chopin, eat my ass. No way, bro, that's pretty sus. Is he dead, bro? L. There's all these bottles that the old owner left here when he passed away, and his family didn't seem to realise that they were all down here. So now I'm stuck with all these dusty ass bottles, bro. And honestly, I don't even like wine, bro. And it's probably super fucked up and out of date now. But what I'm gonna do, right, is just yeet them all into the trash and put my Funko Pop collection here instead, because I think that would be pretty fucking dope. This is the kitchen where mom cooks me tendies, and honestly I've never been in here before, and I don't understand what any of these things do. This is the games room, and I will definitely choose playing these extremely clunky and repetitive arcade games from the 80s over being paid to play first-person shooters with my friends on a 64GB RAM Intel Core i7 10th Gen gaming PC with AMD Radeon RX 5600 graphics card in my bedroom on a triple monitor setup. I'll play these all the time. And I just wanted to remind you guys that this is our house, guys, not my house. We built this together, guys, with all of your support. This is our house that I live in. Remember to subscribe and cop that merch so that we can buy an even bigger house next time. See you next time, FaZe, Moon, Clan, fam. Honestly, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a kid these days, just being brought up by esports gamers. You know who I was brought up by? Men with real jobs. Postman Pat, Bob the Builder, Thomas the Tank Engine, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mr. Blobby. Well, at least he tried to work real jobs. He tried. How would I have turned out if all they did was flex their wealth on me for hours on end when I got home from school?
Dad, I'm trying to find ways of earning more pocket money.
Oh well, I've got the perfect opportunity for you, son. You see, there's this new thing which all the other kids are using to get rich, and it's called cryptocurrency. And as a matter of fact, I know the best one you can use to get rich beyond your wildest dreams, and it's called the MILF token.
The MILF token?
Yes, get it now before it's too late, son. And once you've got rich doing that, you can use my code PAT on this online crypto casino to turn that into even more money. That's P-A-T, PAT.
Wow, thanks, Dad.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his stacks of cash. Early in the morning, the MILF tokens were soaring. Pat sold out and bought himself a boat.
Check it out.
Pat sold out and bought himself a boat. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat has left his job. Bought a Lamborghini, has 3 girls in bikinis. Never seen an ass as fat as that. Never seen an ass as fat as that. Nicholas Mendoza, Sam Murdoch, Zoe LeChance, Amanda Jones, Mitch Zugan, Monica Mean, Melissa Ferry, Milk Moonshine, Spencer Dixon, Mitch Elias, 3 Minute Mile, Eva Kniever, The Estate of Young Poodle, Brooke B, Ezra Blue, Enderina, Lola Bohemia, Cara Gonzalez, Sarah Marie McGee, Ome Johnson, Laura Doherty, Quick, Stepper, MJ, Avon, Gale. Music is magic. Submit of the New Westminster, Sean Mahoney, Maria Selapak, Nancy Coito, Parisa Marian Lou, Emily Reisman, German, Ashley Bird, and Alex Victoria. Mooncat's lawyer here just once again. Mooncat would like to issue a formal apology to Nicholas Mendoza for missing his name off the last video Patreon shout out. It will never happen again. I am so sorry. Thank you. I ordered this for my last video, but it didn't arrive until after I'd filmed, so now she's just gonna sit in the background so that I can ensure that Her Majesty remains a tax write-off. Much the opposite of what she is in 3D form. See you next time, Phase, Moon, Clan, Fam. Subscribe!